Hello everyone. So this video is going to be to talk about the last release of Wild, or the last version of Wild, the RPG text that I'm working on. And in this last version, 0.5, I made a lot of new changes, a lot of new improvements. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. In the last video, I was talking about a problem in QBASIC, about QBASIC running out of memory, and I received a lot of different comments here. I will read some of them. Let me just close the advertisement because YouTube is open here. So I received a lot of very good comments on YouTube. I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for your support and in the different videos that I'm posting, and all the comments with helping me with some ideas, with some suggestions. So that's very good. I really appreciate that. So in the last video, I was talking about some problems running out of memory on QBASIC when trying to compile the program. My program on QBASIC, the RPG game that I'm working on, has, or used to have, around 6,000 lines, because I put all the text. This is a text RPG, and I put all the text in there, in the file, in the BAS file. So it was huge. It was very big, and so when trying to compile the exe, I got this BC out of memory error. So I couldn't compile the exe file. And then I posted a video about it, asking for some help, asking for some suggestions, and received a lot of very good comments that I really appreciate. I will point out two that I think they are the most important. Then the first one, Retronic said, you're using the IDE, which uses memory, plus you have lots of lines of code. Use the BC command, line compiler. You do not need to make changes to your program. And he suggested quit the QB45 IDE. In the QB45 folder, there is a BC command line compiler, and link.exe to this bcwild.bas. Accept all the prompts and press enter. Once finished, you will have a wild.obj. Type link wild.obj. It will create wild.exe. So I tried to do this to follow his suggestions, but I still got the out of memory message, the BC out of memory. So I tried a couple times, and it didn't work. And then I tried with other programs, and it worked with other programs. So I realized that probably the problem was that my BAS file was huge, consuming a lot of memory. And some other people said that they don't have MaxMaster. He was telling me, I use this software, this emulator, MS-DOS emulator, and I don't have any problems. In my case, I don't know much about how MS-DOS works regarding memory, so I don't know. I should read the config files. Maybe I should look for some information about how it works, and maybe I could extend the memory in DOSBox to use more memory, or to have more memory available in DOSBox. So that's another comment that I received, that I got here in the channel. Then Return to Zerg. Hope this got worked out. I've been really enjoying your videos documenting the progression of this project. Keep it up. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate all the people supporting, writing some comments, following the updates and all that. It really helps me to keep myself motivated and working on this project, and uploading videos, recording videos. If I don't receive feedback, if I don't see people engage in the project, I think it's more probable that I would leave, or I would stop posting things. But as I'm receiving, every time I post something, I'm receiving a lot of good comments and people supporting me, supporting the project. I'm always trying to do something new in the game, to improve it, to post a video, to update the different versions and talk about it in the different videos. So thank you very much, it really helps. And Jabjack Alan, he also has been following the channel for some time. He said, moving the larger text and ASCII art into TXT files and reading them at runtime with the open input commands is one way to cut down on program size. And I'm following his path. I'm following his recommendations in this case. So what I'm doing now to free some memory is putting all the huge chunks of text in a TXT file, in some different files. I chose the .dat extension for them. I put everything in these files, and when I need to load the different text, I just use the open input command, and I read this huge amount of text from the file. So it's been really helpful to reduce the BAS file size, the main file size. So this is what I'm trying. I still haven't tried compiling the program again. I need to continue passing all the huge text to the different parts of the story to the files. So I'm working on that. I still don't know if it will happen, if it will work in the future, if I'll be able to compile it or not. So thank you very much to Jabjack59, Alan for the comment, to Return to Sorg for his comment too, Max Master, and Retronix Programming Channel. I recommend his channel. If you can, go to his YouTube channel. It's all about programming, and his open source project is very, very interesting. Retronix Programming Channel. You can go there and check all his work. There is pretty good. Okay, so today I'm recording this video in a little bit different way. I'm using CakeWalk to record the voice, so it's gonna be kind of a little bit like a podcast. So I'm recording the voice, and then I will try to. There's gonna be a little bit of edition. Probably will sound a little bit better than the usual videos that I post. And also, I usually use the program that is called FreeCam 8. I use this program for catching the DOS box to. I record my screen using this software, and that's it. I think I use that software to get the screen. And I use capture the screen, and I'm using now CakeWalk to record the audio and do the edition, make the edition in this podcast. So I will put some a gameplay of the game of while the RPG text that I'm working on as a background image, and then I will loop it. It's about 6 minutes. If the video is longer than that, I will loop the gameplay a couple times. Okay, so the idea for today is to talk about the different improvements and different changes that I made to the version 0.5 to the 0.5 version that I'll be releasing pretty soon, as soon as I can compile the game. something else I wanted to say before talking about the game is that the soundtrack that you're probably listening now at the moment as background music is a composition I made a couple weeks ago, and it's gonna be in opengameart.org. I will leave the link to this song in the comments. I need to upload it, but it's gonna be open and free for you to use it in your projects, in your games. So it's a composition I made a couple weeks ago. The song I played it, I invented, I created in the guitar a couple years ago, but I recorded it and made the production here in CakeWalk a couple weeks ago, and it will be there available for everyone who wants to use it in your videos or in your games or projects. Okay, so now I'm going to start talking about the different improvements and changes and updates that I've done in the version 0.5. If you go to the GitHub repository, you will find the list of the different versions and the updates. There's some updates that I added that I think I will leave them for the 0.6 version. I'm not going to mention it here. Some changes in the combat mechanics, but let's talk about some of them. I will try to sum them up. So, method to print lines and pause text improved, suggested by Alan Monroe. Alan suggested to put all these. I used to print a line and pause it and write pause, print pause. It was a subroutine that used to pause the game a little bit, so the text appeared line by line, not everything at once. So and it took a lot of lines. So Alan suggested to make this automatic, adding a subroutine in the program to pause the lines and make this more automatic and more efficient, and it worked. I applied this method to the whole game and the whole code, and it's working much better now. So now this method suggested by Alan Monroe, it's being applied to the rest of the code. So the new method was applied to the negative sub, to the sub, positive sub, talk to stranger information, all these subs related to they're about the printing text in the screen and parts of the story and all that. So it has all been improved. System of achievements created. I try to simulate something like what we have in Steam, for instance, where you have the different achievements and you have to do things, different missions, objectives, goals, and you unlock the different achievements. Very basic at the moment. I have to improve it. I have to deal with saving this achievement. So very basic system created there. First challenges added. Well, I added some first challenges to try this achievement system. So, but it's very basic at the moment, not very developed. Get 100 gold challenge created. Find a city for the first time challenge created. Reach level 10 challenge created. The chl.dat file is created to save challenges variables. So I put all the challenges variables in the chl.dat file. So the achievements are stored. It's not working very well now, but I think I have to improve that in the future. So challenges variables are saved every time you exit the game. Challenges variables are loaded every time you start the game. So if you achieve challenge, it's gonna be saved in the game. Not working very well at the moment, but I think it can improve, it can get better. The fight intro has been improved. Graphics made of ASCII characters added to fight intro. So every time you're going to fight an enemy, you will see an image, a picture, an ASCII picture, ASCII graphics. While Bojo, I don't know what is the pronunciation in English here. ASCII graphic added, Wild Wolf ASCII graphic added. So I added a couple of graphics of these enemies, ASCII graphics. You will see them every time you find an enemy. ASCII banners represent the terrain you're in. So if you're in the mountains, you will see a banner representing mountains. If you're in frozen lands, you will see a banner at the beginning of a fight representing the frozen lands and so on, forests and so on. So the terrain in which you are in, it will be represented with ASCII banners in every fight intro. The kind of terrain influences in battle, the kind of land, the kind of territory of terrain influences in battle. A randomly chosen terrain will give you extra 80 points in battle. So every time you start a new campaign, you will receive a specific terrain, one that will give you extra attack points, and there's going to be another randomly chosen terrain that will decrease your defense points in battle. So one specific terrain will be positive for you, will help you, and another specific terrain will decrease your defensive points and will be negative for you in battle. So that, I think that was a good idea to implement, and will give a sense of a better feeling to the game. Like you could choose where to walk in the map, or it will give more flavor, more taste to the game, or it will season the game a little bit better. You were born in the terrain showed in the character screen. There's a character screen where you can see your different stats. You're not used to be in terrain showed in the character screen, which ASCII graphic added. So I added the ASCII graphic of the witch. That is an enemy. Lakes and rivers banner added to the fighting intro. Criminal ASCII graphic added, also another enemy graphic added to the fight intro. Bug: enemies attack when their HP is 0 or less than 0. So I fixed this bug. This bug was spotted by a YouTube user who commented in one of the previous videos, and his user, he asked me to introduce him as DW817. So thank you very much for your help and for your comment too. Critical hit message is shown instead. So instead of the enemy attack when its HP is 0, you will see a critical hit message, and then he will of course die. Okay, so new option to escape battles added. You can leave all your gold behind and run from a battle now. You can leave all gold behind or try luck. This was an option suggested by DW817. Again, interesting mechanic. The idea is to make the battle less random, less supported on luck, and more supported on your decisions, on what you choose, on some options that you will get during the battle. Battle icons for the first wave of enemies added. You can see, if you're seeing the image of the game, during battles you see some small icons, some small green pictures in ASCII, symbols of the different enemies. So these icons, these small graphics appear all along the battle, and I have added only 6 so far. I'm planning to add the rest after I solve the problem with the memory, and I can reorganize everything in files instead of putting everything in the main BAS file, the text and the ASCII graphics. 100% terrain ASCII banners added, so I created all the banners for the terrains. So you will see, hopefully you will see all the banners every time you find a fight. Sub for I created a sub for do while in K. Every time I used to write this do while in K, or in key. I'm saying it with a Spanish pronunciation. Do while in key, $ equals, and wrote the I don't remember what is that symbol. Sorry. Well, you understand what I'm talking about. And I used to repeat this all the time, once and once again, all the time. It was repeated all along the code. So I made something that makes a lot of sense. Created a sub that is called wait key, and I put a do while in key. And I put this small part of code there, and every time I need, I just write wait key, and the code got more efficient. I made small modifications in the code, things like this one too. Putting this piece of code in a sub, or Alan suggested in the past a subroutine called, or a function called roll d6 that it's also used all the time, all along the game in the code. So these small changes are helping me a lot to improve the efficiency of the code and of the game in general. Sometimes you just start coding. If you're not a professional programmer, you just repeat the code all the time and you don't realize until someone tells you. In my case, I'm just doing this as a hobby, so some things that professional coders or professional programmers realize, I just don't realize, and maybe I repeat one and another time the same line of code, when it can be a sub or a function or something more efficient. But thanks to Alan, I spotted some of these parts of the code that I could put in subs or subroutines, and then I started to pay more attention to that. So code being improved with sub wait key. Look around. A text describing the area is randomly generated. It needs to be improved and needs to be expanded with more words and some other alternative paragraphs. So this is what I've been doing recently, creating a kind of randomly generated text that describes the place where you are. So the idea is that I put a lot of adjectives, nouns, and different things like that in a program and this program, it has an algorithm that will kind of create and generate different text with different words all the time. So when you're in a specific place in the map, you can choose look around, the option look around, and the program will generate description, randomly generated description of the place where you are. It's not perfect. It can be improved. It can be much better. Of course, I'm working on this, and the idea is that is to say, for instance, if you're in a specific part of the map, and then you go to a different place, and then you go back to the former place you were before, that you get the same message. So I'm still thinking about it, how to save every descriptions and not to be changing this all the time you visit the same place. So the idea is that if you're in a place, you read a specific description of this place, when you get back to this place, it has to be more or less similar, and it doesn't need to change very much. So I'm working on that. And then I'm working on some suggestions that I got from v.0.5 on improving the combat and the fighting stage. I'm still thinking about some improvements, applying some of his suggestions in the code and the game, and I'll be working on that for the next version, probably 0.6. But yeah, what I'm doing now is to solve all the problems regarding memory, and then I will try to implement some changes in the combat, and then I think I will stop working on this game for some time, because to avoid the burnout, I think it's burnout the expression. So that's all. You can read. I will try to put this description, this list of the new version 0.5 in the comments, and you can follow this text while I speak about it. So thank you very much for your attention. I'm sorry if I make some mistakes in English, because it's not my native language. So I try to do my best. I have some mistakes on prepositions and all that, I know. But I really try to do my best. The idea is that you understand everything I said. And that's all. Thanks for your attention and for being around here in the channel. Thank you very much.